Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I just need to check something.
All good. Fun. Forgot about the mute button. There we go. All right. When you're ready, just we're live on YouTube, so let everybody gather in. Aloha. Just getting ready to start People for People radio broadcast, so stick with us. Just letting everybody gather on in. I'm gonna transition right into an awesome track, guys. I don't know if you've heard the unreleased Isaac Cappy track, but it's impressive. He would have had a whole career doing conscious music. In fact, I'm loving a lot of the conscious music that's coming out these days right now. There's lots of tracks with really just, music.
Okay, Bishop.
I'm ready.
Okay. And you're right. 2, 2, 5 to 1.
Let's do this.
And then you go on.
All right. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Consciousness.
I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion.
They're holding in the world. With all the power you need, what's the point? What's the end goal? They said the end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society.
In the garden, the town was falling, love in the summertime. Oh yeah, yeah. It's all unified, feeling oh so unified. In the lockdown, in the lockdown.
I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
Every day is a gift. That's why we call it the present. We were born on the garden of love. Flowers growing, little birds chirping. I was in the garden just having a laugh. Till I met a monster across my path. Hey girl, do you want some more trilla? I could get you lit up one of two ways. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Said I felt like the whole world was begging me to rain fire above upon my enemies. Till the love washed over me. Till I let the love wash over me. Said I forgot the whole world begging me to rain fire above upon my enemies. Till the love washed over me. Till I let the love wash over me every day. That's why we call it the present. Every day. It's a gift. That's why we call it the present.
Britney Spears, can we be saved?
We were going in a direction that was irreversible. This was not an election. This was a revolution. This was irregular warfare at its finest. We have what we call citizen journalists. We have an army of digital soldiers. You're here because you've made a decision about something in your life. You can't sit back. You have a responsibility. We must, you have to fight for this country.
Is a gift. Aloha and welcome to Matrix Biomechanics Alive. I'm your host, Micah Sky. And that's our show. That was a track by Isaac Cappy Unreleased. I got to say, it's such a tragedy. He had an amazing career in music, in my personal opinion. Truly. I wish you guys on People for People could see it. Check out the video if you get a chance. You can go to our Telegram page, which is one thing we're going to go into today. And actually, the construct I'm sharing information from, I've completely migrated off of all the social platforms with the great migration, as many have, and have built a beautiful channel that I'm so grateful for to each and every one of you. And we have a channel and a chat room, which we're going to flip on for the voice chat in a minute. In fact, actually, let's flip that on right now just to have it going. Actually, I'm gonna flip it on in the second half. So the second hour, we'll turn that on. If anyone has any questions or they want to comment or share anything or information, you can pop into the voice chat in the chat room and hop on there. And we'll hopefully get some people in the second hour. We could have some more interactive interfacing with the tribe, which is ultimately what this is about, is sharing information with humanity. Each one of you plays an important role in that. And that's what I'm doing here with 2 hours of my day each week. And then 12 to 16 hours just going through it all. That's what the focus of our channel specifically is to expose the coup d'etat at work, the organized orchestration of the complete infusion of a communist takeover, a globalist takeover for humanity. And we cover all of it, all the maps, all the things that were theories and are now just conspiracies you can learn about, covering all the information across the board. Symbolism, it's a deep indoctrination of numerology, etymology, astrotheology. We have been deeply indoctrinated, and we don't really even know how integrated it is into our lives and our reality. So we're covering all of that in the midst of understanding the sting operation or military operations underway that haven't made sense, I know, to so many. And in that regard, it's not hard, actually. We are tested. We're all being tested right now in our level of knowledge, not information we collect, but knowledge, which is the, assimilation of knowledge over time that creates a bigger picture and a greater knowing. And we've talked about it before on the show, that it's about various points of observation and engaging various points of observation to know something more and not limiting your points of observation. So we cover the cosmological, astrological sides, the theatrical debacle that's playing out. That is, if you're really paying attention, and you understand more deeply through the collection of knowledge and wisdom, hopefully over, you know, a good chunk of time. And, you know, that's the thing about our channel is we are an interface. There are more, you know, deeper channels that go deeper into information that is probably too much for people that haven't built a general foundation. And so I like to think of our channel as a intermediary, a channel for people just getting into learning about what's going on, as well as individuals who have been in this for decades, like myself, that are looking for collections of more data as it comes out and declassified documents and information. And I leave links through to deeper explorations if you want to, but I try not to go too much into. For instance, let's take a look at these two pictures, shall we? This is Barack Obama and a colleague. Same man right here, standing next to, gosh, that looks a lot like him. Child in picture at one of their ritualistic festivals. So instead of flooding tons of images or tons of information, we tend to put a lot on for the vaccination agenda. We leave links and channel links for some of these channels that go really deep, that are posting, let's say, you know, 50, 60, 70 different documents, PDF after PDF. I'll put 2 or 3 up and then give the links for those channels, because I'm collecting, you know, from multiple networks right now to create a more well-rounded, objective point of perspective, transpersonal point of perspective, witness point of perspective. We're in a movie. Imagine you're sitting next to people and they're getting super involved and lost in the movie and thinking it's real. The more information you know about that movie, if you worked on that movie, if you were in the movie, it wouldn't be the same knowing that it was fake as, you know, somebody getting pulled into it. So that's one of the focuses and goals. And, you know, bringing awareness and statistics that won't be covered on mainstream media, as well as giving a perspective about the body and this brilliant technology that's under attack, and the agenda to ultimately distract and take you away from developing inner awareness around self through all of these outward overloads of information externally. We lose sight of the internal awareness for our health, our wellness, our awakening to the higher states that are ultimately their agenda to dissolve, to break down, to distract from, to divert our presence. And that's what that song that we just played, you know, really was about. Presence. If you heard the chorus, every day is a gift. That's why we call it the present. And again, I've been super appreciative of a lot of the conscious music that's coming out. I myself, as a, you know, I write music, singer, songwriter, and I've been super inspired. I'm actually working on some tracks right now, because I know as this all is revealed, and so many that are on the fence about what's happening, really see more as more comes out. And we're going to look into some of why that is starting today, some of the executive orders and things that are put in place, that the more you're paying attention, you can see what's going on in the background, along with countries that are becoming examples before this happens in the US, like Myanmar, where the military has now taken control of the government, and all the corrupt officials are detained currently right now, and they're looking to restructure and, you know, orchestrate out a resetting, a restructuring under the military's control. So we're actually seeing, through example, this happening first, almost, I believe, as a psychological conditioning to prepare us for what is coming. Because if their elections were monitored, you better believe ours were. So ultimately, bringing us to a higher state of awareness, conscious awareness, and we're bringing in the more spiritual and esoteric side to, ironically, not make you airy fairy out there, but ground you through a lot of the revealing that happens. It's going to challenge the very reality with which all of us exist in. And the more we prepare for that, the more we will have a graceful process and be grounded to support others. Because bottom line is, this is the shit you know, and this is everything you don't know, perspective wise. So our goal is to deviate outside of these 6 controlled points of observation that so many of us are deeply desensitized to the fact that we are very much controlled in our points of observation. And actually on that, I'm going to jump over real quick and play this video by ODD TV for a little perspective.
Your wallet, your time, your ideas. No barcode, no party, no ID, no beers. Your bank card, your license, your thoughts, your fears. No SIM card, no disco, no photo, not here. Your blood, your sweat, your passions, your regrets, your profits, your time off, your fashions, your sex, your pills, your dress, your tits, your ass, your laughs, your balls. We want your soul, your house, your phone, your life, your cash, your house, your phone. We want your soul, your house, your phone, your life, your cash, your house, your phone. We want your soul. Tell us your habits, your fads, your fears. Give us your address, your shoe size, your years, your digits, your plans, your number, your eyes, your schedule, your desktop, your details, your life. Show us your children, your photos, your home. Here, take credit, take insurance, take a loan, get a job, get a pension, get a haircut, get a suit. Playing the lottery, play football, play the field, snore some toot. We'll show you dream, we'll show you spoon, we'll buy you dream, we'll in your blue. We'll sell you crap, we'll charge you debt. We'll buy big guns, we'll rock the cash. Your soul, your house, your phone, we want your soul. 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 Your emotions, your love, your dreams, your checkbook, your essence, your sweat, your screams, your security, your sobriety, your innocence, your society, yourself, your place, your distance, your space.
Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again. Here, watch this. Shut up. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you.
Here's boy bands, here's Mackers, here's Britney, here's Cola, here's pizza, here's TV, here's some rock, and some roller. Watch commercials, more commercials, watch Jerry, not Oprah. Buy a better life from the comfort of your sofa. Here's popcorn, here's magazines, here's milkshake, here's blue jeans, here's padded bars, here's armpit wax, here's football shirt, here's baseball cap, here's live talk show, here's video game, here's Cola Life, here's Tim Morning, here's filter tips, here's collagen lips, here's all night, here's plastic hips. Your house, your phone, we want your soul. 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 Your soul, your soul, your soul, your soul, your soul.
Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again. Here's American Gladiators. Watch this. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Here is American Gladiators. Here is 56 channels of it. Watch these pituitary retards bang their fucking skulls together and congratulate you on living in the land of freedom. Here you go, America. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you.
Okay, yeah. So as you can see, wow. Just a little perspective. Again, what so cool about that that conscious music that we talked about. Going back on here 1 second. So these are the 6 controlled points of observation that have really built a relationship with humanity for quite some time to where we trust it. And thank you to ODD TV for that. Again, there's so much content coming out about what's been happening, about these techniques to distract us. They're very ancient. The more historical research you do about it, they're just very, very ancient. There's nothing new about it. Again, American gladiators, they would entertain the people with the gladiators while they were controlling them. And part of it is a abusive relationship that we get desensitized to, that we're in. So ultimately, at Matrix Body Mechanics Live and at Matrix Body Mechanics Truth Channel and the Truth Room, this is the focus and foundation throughout both the disclosure and the awakening and the resetting and the restructuring and the Nassar rollout. We're going to be here as a foundational platform to support people to process and integrate, ultimately returning to Christ consciousness, awakening to truth, and in that, digesting that truth, not being on the fence, not being stuck in between, but like really, really, this is a time of digesting and I've seen a lot of conflict and contradiction in the channels and the chat rooms, with people being very confused and, wanting to see more. But those of us paying attention, those of us that have studied both what we're up against and the operation that's been carried out and the gravity of it, are very clear on what it is. I mean, even as much as I love a Monkey, Mil Spec Ops Monkey, he even on one of just the videos I saw, he was like, listen, guys, we might have to just, accept that this is what we got and this and that. And it's amazing to me how people are really being tested in understanding not just the operation at hand, but the man who is just running our country, but to the surface in public. There is no way that this man, Donald J. Trump, would ever let the legacy he worked so hard and went through so much for to be left like this. And that's just me doing research on this individual, historical research, lots of it. As I, was never on the Orange Man bad camp, but I definitely was affected and influenced by a lot of the propaganda over, I would say probably the full 4 years ago. And then, I was grateful that Hillary Clinton wasn't in, because I knew who and what she was and had been studying the plans to initiate and integrate this person in for a very different reality than we'd even be in right now. So I was just glad and could tell that they didn't want that to happen. What from there, I had heard years prior about a potential military operation. Many of us heard chatter, but for many of us studying this stuff for years, we really just kind of learned about what the deep state was, what the cabal was, what these 13 bloodline families of Phoenicians, with the primary family that really is running everything, the Pesor family coming from the Merovingian branch of the 13 bloodline families. We just didn't really see how would we ever take this down. So when more of the posts started to come out, when the initial posts started to come out, I was skeptical even to that. But the more I looked into it, the more it actually correlated to the chatter in Intel networks, like I said, 6, 7, 8 years ago, even, that something was happening. But it was that's it. There was nothing, you couldn't really find anything from that. And on that note, it's amazing how much you had to look for. I was thinking about look for, UFO documents, classified things, how hard it was to find anything. And I got to tell you, just over the last week, the level of intelligence documents, declassified materials that I've been just working through trying to get out to everybody on this channel, it's just been crazy. So definitely check on your conspiracy theory friends, or let's just say conspiracy friends. They haven't had a day off all year. It's yeah, it's really hyped up a lot, so much actually. We many of us can't even believe it. So again, it has a different effect for us than those maybe even looking in or trying to pay attention for the last 8 or 9 months, since all of this got to a place where it really grabbed your attention because the whole world got shut down. So in that, let's start into the week a little bit. You know, again, it's now, what is it, 11 days into the official, or as they would say, the Biden campaign, if you will. Let's just check in briefly on how people are actually handling this. The people that voted for him. Just a little brief look into. Now for the radio, guys, this is a bunch of tweets. Here's one. Okay, I fully regret voting for Biden. I'm just going to read a few to you because I regret voting for Biden now. Geez, he's really not going to do anything, is he? I'm a Democrat and I already regret voting for Biden. Shame on him. Who else became a Trump supporter since after voting for Biden on November 3rd? I know a few people that regret voting for Biden on Election Day. It's just tweet after tweet. And this is not the only film clip that I've actually been able to find with multitudes, and they aren't the same accounts, by the way. Not to mention just scrolling through Twitter. I would say even the chatter on, and I don't really go onto Facebook very much anymore, but I do once in a while. And I got to tell you, some of the more self-righteous liberal friends of mine are, you know, they've transitioned from trying to throw it in my face that Biden won and I was wrong, that Trump isn't going to be president, even though I stated by mid to late March, that was my statement of let's see what happens. But even they are they kind of quieted down. In fact, they're even starting to post some of the articles, really kind of showing the extreme contradiction to truth, to what they spoke about their party was going to do and what they really were going to do. So moving on from that, we have had 10 days of darkness at certain points for the White House at night. Had some power outages for the phallic obelisk symbol that means so much to them as well. Interesting, one of the last nights, it looked like there was a white flag on top of the White House, which was very interesting. We have protests and riots all over. This is the one in Russia that happened to come about on Freedom Day, just yesterday. Just a little clip of it. Wait, I think I might have another clip of it. Oh, yeah, here, this one. Seriously though, I love whoever made this. But that's pretty much what it's kind of feeling like. In fact, we'll go through a few other clips, but there's been protests and just rebellion to the lockdowns, to the draconian imposition of just this insane control. People are done, and you're seeing it in Italy. You're seeing it in Denmark. You're seeing it in France. And some places there's the harsher conflict and rebellion than others. Of course, America, Antifa is still continuing to riot, even though they're supposed person one. In fact, actually, I saw some interesting intel about, BLM and Antifa not actually being super stoked about Biden following through with some of the stuff that he had talked about as well. So again, all of this is to show us what we were so close to. Here's another one. All of the super liberal agenda is getting pushed now. Executive order to make it that men can play sports by identifying as women. They can now play women's sports, so that's destroying women's sports now. I wouldn't say men's sports would be destroyed by women's sports identifying with. Not to say that women can't transgender into amazing male athletes. And could probably be, in fact, I've seen some amazing female athletes, but at the same time, I think we're looking more at the aspect of the physical mass of a male body, whether it wants to refer to themselves as a male or female, is just, it's absurd. And so I'm going to play this next little clip because it was hilarious. And I hope, if you're offended, it is what it is, but it's reflecting the absurdity of this. What is it now that they're even teaching kids? And we have some clips of this too. Maybe I can catch one as we're scrolling through. There's so much information, just it's spastic mode to try to get through so much of it with you guys. But I'm going to play this clip because what is there now? I think I saw this disturbing clip of a teacher telling children that there's 90 gender identifications now, or some ridiculous number. I actually wanted to know what many of them could be. So let's take a look at some of, let's just take a look at this.
I am actually pansexual.
I am transgender. I'm a race car.
I had to do it. I just had to because it is absurd. It is absurd to me. It is not about it is part of undoing a natural way of being. And it's not that you can't use your imagination and imagine yourself anything. It's the forcing of other people having to do that for you. So social platform boomings, you can still see Facebook sadly to be, at the highest, but Telegram's up to 500 million. And of course they're really trying to still come after us. And at the same time, you're seeing these platforms starting to shift. In fact, I'd be very curious by the end of February how different this looks. But it's an honor to be on Telegram and to be doing this. I am so just grateful to have witnessed my own deconstruction of patterning around these other platforms. It's really, I've really transitioned, and it's so interesting to transition to another platform that just feels pure. It's more about sharing information, which was ultimately knowledge, wisdom, information, teaching people how to heal and ground themselves. This was always my focus that I feel got muddled with these other platforms. So I may come on, and I'm still on them to drop something here or there, but they really hold no pull or interest for me at this point, because almost everything I post gets flagged and taken down anyways. So more than anything, I'm just supporting people to join me on a platform that is more pure for now. And it's inspiring to see these numbers, and we'll take a look to see how they continue to progressively shift. So this was some interesting information that came out about Mar-a-Lago being a second White House, that it was willed to the U.S. government in 1973 by the heiress of Post Serial to be a winter White House. It was given back in 1981 due to the cost of maintenance. Trump bought it for roughly $10 million. It has 3 bomb shelters. And in 2017, Trump's press secretary revealed it has a CIF also. So Trump's house has 3 bomb shelters, a SCIF, and has been referred to as the Winter White House already. So there's a lot of interesting chatter. Again, a lot of it I will not post. I kind of have a little background behind the curtain where I share information that hasn't been confirmed and vetted. And sometimes I'll throw some out, and I will always clarify, not confirmed, decide for yourself. But JFK Jr.'s account on Telegram has been in question. And there's been some very interesting posts like this one here.
There you do. I didn't do it properly. Come on, you can do it. Good boy.
Good boy.
Now, I have seen several pictures. And first I want to preface with, I've had enough intelligence confirmation from different sources that I trust deeply. And again, remember, this isn't a new gig for me. This isn't open this up a little bit. Let's see you guys. So this isn't a new thing because of the pandemic that I start trying to figure stuff out. And I'm so grateful for the catalyst of that for so many. This is something many of us have built networks and information, intelligence, and relationships with military intelligence, scientific intelligence, political intelligence, relationships with people where you trust them deeply. Again, you know, I was blessed to have Bob Dean on my show, and we became good friends. Dr. Rima Lebeau, one of, you know, an amazing freedom fighter for protecting and bringing awareness for all of us towards the vaccine agenda. And so when these people give me information and intel, it is vetted in a way that I understand how disorienting it can be, because you don't know what to trust right now. You don't know who to trust. And that's why, again, discernment is key. And actually, it's a really good thing. It's a good thing because it engages both the left brain and the right brain. You have to go off your intuition and what's called the guttural intelligence. And let's take a pause about guttural intelligence. You have more neuroreceptors in your brain than you do stars in the galaxy. Okay. You have twice as many neuroreceptors in your gut than you do your brain. So we are conditioned to the brain, to the intellect, to the left brain. We rarely tap into the guttural intelligence, which is actually, it's a pure source for confirmation. But if you don't know how to do it, and we're all conditioned and trained, indoctrinated into the left brain, then it becomes the safe platform for you. The problem is it's never safe, because you're never going to collect enough mental information that's going to convince a deeper knowing within you or activate your intuition. Your intuition has to be synced to the information that's coming in, so you're collecting pieces. And that's what many of us are doing. So out of the many pictures I've seen, so bringing it back, I digress. I've had JFK now, because he's not junior, because senior has passed. JFK is alive. So I've had enough confirmation of that personally. You can believe what you choose, what you want to. Now, I've seen several pictures, and not only is this individual used, at least in at least a couple of them that I've seen, but I am also an artist. Let's see if I could show you something for perspective on my artistic skills here. I'll pull this over so I don't have to move the camera. And I'm just going to throw this in front of the camera for a second so you can see some level. Okay, so I drew this by hand. Okay. And I was raised in the Eastern and Western sciences. So I was raised, sadly, in Catholicism, in the Catholic way. My mom was Catholic, but she also was a follower of Paramahansa Yogananda. In fact, one of his last living disciples was my mother's yogi, and blessed my mom's stomach when she was pregnant with me. And I was raised in the Eastern yogic sciences and still had the context of Catholicism and church, but I was deeply shut down to it. And yeah, I was a little kid sitting in church going, Jesus Christ, the only Son of God. I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely a child of God. So there was a you know, the distortion of religion and the true teachings of Christ were already hitting red flags for me in their distortion in the church, to the point where I made my catechism teacher leave the class crying, and then she refused to teach the classes anymore. But that's because I was just asking questions, because things didn't make sense from this distorting of spiritual teachings that I wanted to resonate with. I wanted to understand more about Christ. So in that regard, I was blessed to have the Eastern Sciences be part of my understanding. And at the same time, I then saw the distortion of even Hinduism and this multi-leveled layer of gods, and eventually ended up in a lot of the yogic teachings of the Sikhs. And this is, you know, this was a big conflict in India for the Sikhs, because the Sikhs were a threat to the caste system within the Hindu culture, within the Hindu government, within the Hindu elite. As I'm sure many of you do know, slavery still is going on in India. The untouchables are slaves. They're indentured, they're slave servants. In fact, they will just be on the streets if you don't take them in and have them, you know, be your servants, so to speak. But there was the Brahmins, the high elite. Then you had the scholars and what's the word I'm looking for? Scholars and higher level or aristocrats, or the educational professors and things. Then you had the merchants and the craftsmen, and then you had the poor people. Then you had the people beneath that were the untouchables, that were like the dirt beneath the people's feet. So these Sikhs were wealthy and powerful and spiritually activated, and they would be eating food with the poor, homeless people on the streets, or the poor people. And so they were a threat. And from that, hundreds of thousands of Sikhs were murdered, were genocided by the Hindu government in the Golden Temple of Amritsar, where they held a stand against the Hindu armies, the Indian army, with tanks and guns, and they didn't have any of that. They just had swords, and eventually they were all massacred, and they left the bodies in there to say it was a horrible, horrible thing, which is why the Golden Temple of Amritsar is a pilgrimage for many Sikhs to go back and honor this place. So anyways, but eventually I saw this, you know, the breaking of all of these gods and the false idols. And it's not that many of them don't hold attributes to one divine consciousness. And if you really understand, again, the Bhagavad Gita, any of these ancient books, that's the true teachings. They've become distorted. So anyways, again, digressing, I am an artist, and hand-eye coordination, perspective, proportionate distance with eyes and everything. I'm really good at faces, and I draw faces all the time. So this individual's face is matching to many pictures. But then the same account came out with a whole barrage of things saying that I'm, you know, it's JFK, I'm Vincent Fusca, this and that. And so yeah, it's been interesting. Like I said, I'm not posting, I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm actually sharing it for perspective. I'm not going to say one way or the other, because I also want to say that a big portion of all of this is about misinformation as well as accurate information. You better believe the people that this operation is against are also watching all of the information and intelligence. So there is this is an information war. So there's going to be, you know, misdirection that's put in place on purpose. So you're not really sure it's an intuitive based thing, which these people don't operate off of. They operate off strategy, action, logic, critical thinking. So that's for us to tap into. And that's engaged in a lot of this. So with that, I'm just going to drop into, like, some of the things we put on to the channel are going to be things like basic understandings of many of the military operations that have been carried out that many people may or may not be familiar with. One of the most known ones that's actually sculpted a lot of crafted a lot of the governmental infrastructure and infection of these globalist elitists was Operation Paperclip, which after World War II in the U.S. government's strategic services, the OSS, the precursor organization, to the CIA, recruited 1,500 Nazi scientists as well as Nazi party leaders for prominent positions within the American government. Just like that, the Nazi war criminals were given a clean slate and prestigious careers in various American agencies, NASA, and eventually the CIA. And this is just a short description of what actually took place. These individuals, we didn't win that war. That war transitioned into an underground war on many levels, which again, you know, I want to touch base on that. And Phil Schneider, because I watched all his videos again, and it was super 10 years, no, like close to 15 years ago, I found these. And they really rocked my world and brought a very clear perspective and directive for me in what role I could play, which is why I had a radio show for 3 hours every Sunday for 3 years. Part of it was driven by patriots like this individual. And what's weird about this film, I think it was not like early 90s, some of the first footage, and was checking on a little bit of it. I mean, he's talking about things playing out right now back then. So it's amazing how current these older videos are hitting you as you're watching them. So it was a trip to go back through them. So nonetheless, this was the beginning of the kind of inner piracy takeover, so to speak, again, Nazi Germany was infiltrated as well and compromised, and this was following Russia, because it's always been this Marxist, Zionist, communist agenda being carried out, that the more that's coming out right now is reflective of other agendas, off-world agendas, individuals that interfaced in the 1940s, and then also they became kind of the higher ups that this communist globalist regime of bloodline families began interfacing and kind of, I would say, operating for. And then because of the off-planet advancement in technology of these beings, then it just really kind of muddled into the mess that it's in right now, which will be revealed. And again, we're past the point of, oh, what did he say? Off world? Oh, that's strange. Aliens. Hello. They just declassified hundreds of UFO documents. And I'm talking, there's so much there if you want to look at it. At this point, you're just choosing to ignore it and not pay attention to it. Because this is part of why I created this channel, was not just to have little pieces like this that show you a picture and, you know, a breakdown, for instance, the Tuskegee experiment, where the United States Public Health examining the natural course of untreated syphilis in the African American men. The men in the study were not informed of their condition, and instead were told they suffered from an ailment referred to at the time as bad blood. Many in the experiment were treated with horrible, horrific toxins such as arsenic, bismuth, mercury. The men were denied treatment of penicillin. It is estimated that by the conclusion of the sinister studies, more than 100 of the subjects died of tertiary syphilis. At least 40 spouses had been diagnosed with it, and the disease had been passed to 19 children. Again, mutating the genetic structure. A lot of these diseases, if you will, there's starting to be a lot of information showing that they came from not here. They came from the biological entity of other beings that, in coming in contact with us, would be extremely toxic, contaminating, because they have a different biological constitute than us. And this is something that many of us see in a lot of the intelligence, military intelligence, about interfacing and interacting with even conflicts with these beings. As you'll see with Phil Schneider, he brought awareness that from 1979 on, we have been at war underground with alien races in all countries, which is very interesting when you look at the underground dynamic with human trafficking of our globalists, the elitists, these global controllers, And then you look at the fact that there are both contemporary underground tunnel systems and bases, as well as really ancient ones that you can see records of now. So again, everything I'm talking about, I want to engage you to look into the channel for yourself and check it all out. We're holding large amounts of memory to computers, trying to keep this information posted. So past it, you know, it just holds on. You can scroll back through the channel through days and days and days, back and back and back, and looking through stuff. Otherwise, you have to set it where it holds less memory, where after, you know, so many gigs or so many weeks, it starts deleting out the past pages of our channel, which I didn't want. I want this to be a record and an archive as long as it stays up. So the point is, things like this are followed by actual documents. I try to post as many legitimate documents because that was one of the biggest complaints, criticisms that so many people trying to share truth on social media platforms would get hit by cognitive dissonant hecklers, people just looking to antagonistically attack information and disregard it. But let's face it, folks, how many of you are going to actually read through the JFK actual released declassified documents? I did. It was a lot. It was like really a headache almost to go through it all. So how many, like, would you not be more prone to look at an image with maybe some captions of a document? So that's what we try to do is, and then if you want to look into that stuff, which many people do, it's there for you. So now what? How can you disregard this information now? And that's been a big focus. The Project MK Ultra. I'm just putting a few in here. Now, this was an interesting thing that popped up, and I haven't gone to this archive because I've heard that there can be an entrapment with trying to download the Frazzle Drip video, which, by the way, I can feel is coming out. There's a lot of talk in the Intel networks. People are trying to get it, but you have to unload it with a program called Sandbox because they tag on child porn files to it, I guess, which then incriminates you for having those files or downloading them and having a record of it. So it actually screws you. It's like a trap. So we're still kind of waiting for some of that. And again, I'm not looking to see some super gruesome stuff. My main thing is I just want to see this individual in her prime element. I don't need to see the horrific extent of it. I want to actually see this individual being honest, because she is been nothing but deception and phoniness and inauthenticity and everything I've ever seen of this woman. Do I want to just see the true face of this being and her evil? So interestingly, this was a letter for Linwood that was posted, and it gives the actual password for this encrypted material that was put at this site here, http archive.is/J0SK6. And then it's password protected. So apparently nobody had the key to unlock the files until now. And so then it puts the password here, which you guys can see right there. And I implore you to go onto the channel and check that out, or yeah, write that down and copy and paste, and it gives you access basically to all of the, it's the dead man's key, as it was put, where is it? Yeah, these are all of the Epstein blackmail video files. And it says, since posting the actual password is ultimate power, it is best if you dangle the prospect of releasing a password in front. So this was actually written like this is something that you could use, but please don't mention. It even says, please don't mention me as a source of this information. I can't afford 24/7 security, because it literally says up above that, this password is absolutely the strongest blackmail in the world, and anybody with the password would need 24/7 security, especially if planning to proceed with this information. It might be a good idea to run this information by General Flynn, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a trip what's coming out. And ultimately, you know, the decoding and the deltas that we're seeing from this military operation are really profound if you're really, again, more involved in understanding, the orchestration of this operation and what its deeper principle is, which is a homeopathic process to stimulate a symptom, which is our enslavement, and agitate it for our own human body. That's how homeopathy works, to wake up and fix whatever's wrong with us. So arnica doesn't relieve the swelling. You don't understand homeopathy. Arnica increases the swelling and agitates your own body to get off its butt and fix you. Now, why is it on its butt in the first place? Because human beings weren't taught that we are designed to be touched, that the human being is designed to be touched, that the human body in its nerves, its wires, and it's a computer system. It's designed to be stimulated, and then the computer circuits wake up and continue communicating and running a diagnostic of the system. Very similarly, your computer, if you don't stay on clearing the memory, the data, the caches, then your computer eventually fills up and gets really slow. Same thing with this organic computer, even though it's super, super amazing. It's a badass supercomputer, because how long does that take for a computer? If you're really rocking a computer for those kinds of things to develop, what, a year, maybe 2? This body can go decades, 4 or 5 decades sometimes before it starts wearing down. I mean, again, just imagine if you actually operated it properly, how much longer you would live. And we've talked about this being part of the dumbing down for humanity is keeping us in the dark about the true divinity of what we are, of how our bodies work. We've talked about the sacred anointing process that is deeply covered within all of the ancient teachings, including the Bible. Christ was teaching that I'm going through a Christed process. You all have the ability to activate this energy at the base of the spine, move it up the spine, activate it to arc into the right hemisphere through the 3rd and 4th ventricles of the brain and the gastronomic nerve, activating the pineal and the pituitary to release sacred secretions that combine, collect in the base of the skull, producing colostrum, which regenerates the cells. This isn't a witchcraft. This isn't somebody had commented on a video saying, I love the stuff you're doing, but man, the Kundalini stuff, it's like evil and it's Satan. And it's like, no, it's an energy that exists in you. It's there for a reason, or it wouldn't be there. If a Kundalini wasn't of divine origin, then you wouldn't have an electromagnetic force that collects in what's called the coccygeal body. There's an actual gland. And the liquid that's in the spine, the liquid doesn't go up. The liquid is hyperconductive and it conducts electricity up the spine. And it's designed to be moved through a series of disciplined, trained practices that we were all supposed to be learning since we were younger, to move this energy up, activate this higher system that creates these are glandular secretions that take place. They were depicted as the milk and the honey in the Bible. Casting thy net to the right is casting your consciousness, the arcing of the hemispheres to the right hemisphere. We've been indoctrinated into the left. Holistic truth connects all of these pieces. If the Kundalini wasn't part of the holistic truth of our true nature and our awakening to this Christed process, it wouldn't be there. So I just want to address that because I thought that was really strange and sad. Now, I'm not going to say that a lot of people, and with the westernization of, remember, the yogic sciences, I was trained in the Eastern form. I was raised with the Eastern sciences and these practices. Before everyone thought they were cool in America, I was criticized and made fun of by other kids because my parents were married by a yogi and I was raised in these Eastern spiritual sciences and I was ashamed of them. And of course, now I see what a blessing it is, as everyone in America with no spiritual cultural roots is craving and clinging to a story around yoga and their spiritual path because they have none of origin in our culture. And I am blessed to say, no, I was raised in these, even being here in the West, and blessed in those teachings and blessed to have a guru disciple one-on-one format with which I was trained one-on-one by a little man who looked like a cross between Gandhi and Yoda. And he was like my dad. And I didn't go train in classes and get a certificate from him. I went and spent an 9 hours at his house every weekend and brought him fruit as a honoring and a blessing. And he would make food for me and teach. This was the blessing of what I got to have. It was a true Jedi apprenticeship. And that's the way that I teach these Eastern sciences in the West, because even they have been warped and corrupted. And that has, jumbled into the twisted byproducts of the guru and the fall of the guru that has happened in the West, and the exposure to many horrible things. And I will say, as a Kundalini practitioner, I trained in these sciences with this little, we'll just call him Metananda, as that is his name. And I trained with him for 10 years before I got into the Sikh community and Yogi Bhajan's teachings, which I found to be amazing. But take a look at, again, the sciences are the sciences. This man was still a human being, and he did all kinds of crazy, not okay stuff to the feminine, to humanities, disciples of these sacred sciences in the West, in this movement. There was a lot that's now being exposed, and rightfully so. And part of me feels like he even orchestrated all of this to break the obsessive worshiping of him and give Kundalini a more open platform in America, because the Sikh institutions ended up controlling everything to do with Kundalini in the United States, in the West in general. And the Kundalini was a science channeled through the rishis. These were the ancient wizards that brought these sciences through. And then they were passed down to the Sikhs, and the Sikhs claimed Kundalini to be, but that wasn't the case. This is the purest form I've found of the sciences as they went into humanity, before they fractaled into all these branches and all these gurus and all these egos that then isolated aspects of these systems, controlled, manipulated, capitalized on, monopolized on them as they went to the West, because the West infected it all, because that was the goal, was to infect anything pure. So on that, this is a whole slew of I thought they were in sequence, but I feel like they're not when I read this one. These are a whole slew of generic information text, and a bunch of these come through for those of us in Intel networks, and they literally are correlating a lot of the actual confirmed research data. But they are future speculative, meaning we can't really prove them, but they give a broader perspective, and they do include a lot of the pieces that we've confirmed behind the scenes. So I definitely recommend you checking into the Majestic 12 and doing a little more research. There's been a lot of attack on the Q movement in general. And if Q's so fake, why are you talking about it so much? Why is it so important to go after, attack, recycle, distort anything you can around this if it's nothing at all? Because the more research you do, you'll see that there was a Q group that existed in JFK's administration. Before that, even, this group that was referred to as, even down to the NSA has a almost internal affairs group that's called Q Intel, okay? But they were a small group that advised the president on everything that was going on that maybe people thought he didn't know. And then the Majestic 12 was a group that was created specifically around the 1940s of presidents, of generals, of high up individuals that was its ultimate original focus was to assist in the bridging of contact with the public, with these extraterrestrial races that really got beaconed to our planet when we set off some nuclear bombs, because there's a big thing with splitting atoms in the galactic forum reality, if you will. It causes problems. You can bring atoms together, but you don't split them. It's a big no-no. So that was sent like a beacon out through what they call, I think they're called, what do they call it? Cosmic strands. They say that our universe is connected between strands of basically like cosmic light, these cosmic light ray webs, and that vibration can travel off of these. And we sent out some distortion based destructive vibrations that from some of the intel I've seen actually cause some destruction in other dimensional realms because we don't get how that works yet. And so that was one of the initial things that brought the interaction. And from some races, again, there's a few benevolent, there's several malevolent. And from what we understand, a lot of them have been here for a really long time and actually believe that we are below them and actually are, you know, like cattle, like a food source for them. Some of them actually aren't interested in the totality of our food sourceness. They only want specific extracted things that substances that will support them, like vitamins, basically. Because some of these races apparently genetically are degrading and they're not doing well because they haven't been in alignment with source. So how long can you honestly survive and progress or develop if you're cutting off from the cosmic energy of source that you're a part of still by choosing regressively to disconnect, to separate yourself? So I'm going to just read even one of these. Bill Gates is a Rockefeller, and the Rockefellers own Western medicine. Therefore, all doctors, nurses, and first responders had to be chipped and under their control. If they died, then great. They got to collect 77,000, chalk up another CV death, extract all the blood, and sell it on the black market for their fellow blood drinkers. It was a win-win. So again, this is going into here. We'll go right to MJ12. When MJ12 jumped to save humanity, they approached the Kennedys and showed them the future of civilian life and what was brewing. JFK knew that the deep state wanted to control him because of Val Valiant. Thor told him and showed him on his movie screen technology that he had at the time. Again, I'm going to add some of this because the way it's written is, you know, yeah, it's very basic and it's kind of in the context that you've learned all this. Val Valiant Thor is one of the first supposed ambassador emissaries, and I've seen pictures of him sitting in a room with all the high-level presidents and diplomats, and he was one of the initial ones that was part of the space program that started in the 1940s and the integration of technology into our government, base technologies that we could work with and experiment and develop with. And apparently he was humanoid for the most part. Like many races are forms of humanoid. Their organs and things are a little bit different. Apparently he had 6 fingers and toes instead of 5 on each hand, 1 lung. And his lifespan was extremely large. He could speak over 100 languages. He had an IQ of like 1200. Yeah, he worked with our government in a capacity that was benevolent with the intention to help us. And so that's what's referring to here is, you know, is that he met with Kennedy. Robert Kennedy was next, and he was also shown that his death would come if he did nothing to stop it. There was a plan laid out for the removal of deep state and all Luciferian cane seeds. Now, cane seeds, what does that mean? Well, again, going through the refresher, whether you believe this or not, the Luciferians that rule this world or have, then this is their religion, and it's a religion they're born into, and they believe very much in, just like if you were born Mormon and you got bombarded with all that and you really believed it. So whether you believe this or not, they believe this, that they come from the lineage of Cain. If you know in the Bible, there was Cain and Abel, the 2 sons of Adam and Eve. That Lucifer actually was in divine union. He connected with Eve before Adam beguiled her, and when she had 2 sons, Cain was of Lucifer's genetics, and Abel was of Adam's. And eventually, in the story, if you know it, even the basics, Cain killed Abel. But what most people don't know is Cain ate Abel. And look at even the etymology of it, Cainable. So these 13 bloodline families believe they're the genetic descendants of Cain, and that any one of them could invoke this Luciferian entity, if you will, into them if they completely retard themselves into the left brain and completely disconnect from anything of goodly godliness. So anyways, whether you believe this or not, this is what they believe. So a little backstory on that. As the story goes, MJ12 approached Trump to help save the world. Being a smart man, he declined twice. After the World Trade Centers went down in Building 7, Trump got to see firsthand how destructive this bloodline was to our way of life. He got his validation. The deep state might have gotten their war, stopped Nassar and Jassara Act, and stole all of the gold, but the flip side was humanity got our Trump card, as they put it. After seeing what has happened to our planet and our country, Trump, along with his family, consented to become the next POTUS and work alongside MJ12. Now, there's other aspects to this, not just with MJ12. In fact, there's some brilliant decodings of all of MJ12's posts and a lot of the history of that's done by an awesome researcher. It's pinned on one of our pages, I think 2 or 3 days ago. So on Telegram, you can pin files, which I will show you once I get off this. And in pinning those, when you scroll through, you can click the pin. It's going to go above all the, I'm posting so much information. I try to pin the most relevant stuff every day. I'm not going to say I don't forget some. So it is worth it to go back through it. But nonetheless, you know, giving context, this NASARA, if you will, the National Economic Stimulus and Restructurization Act is not a new thing. It's not a new age thing. It actually was set to be put in place through JFK. It's one of the reasons he was taken out, is the point. Okay. And others tried to make an attempt at, also stifled in it because there wasn't enough of an organization orchestrated. Also, from the research I've heard, the Majestic 12, MJ12, was compromised by the cabal, by the deep state, and for a number of years, and then was apparently taken back control. But one of the things they do pride themselves in is also putting out disinformation to throw the trail off, because this is an information war. The Kennedys were already in. JFK and Robert were safely working beside Valiant Thor. They were probably stationed over in Las Vegas, since that's where Valiant Thor, again, hid his ship. These are things that I would hold off from reading in public or talking about in the past, but we're to such a place of disclosure that, again, if you're not open to understanding that there is not only other races, but that our government documented and released the interfacing, connection, interaction, and integration of multiple species into our governmental structure, and then built structures that cost trillions of dollars that were tax dollars we paid for to build and construct these. And as they got better with the technology, they were able to build more of them. So let's get into some of this and take a look. Let's see, where do I want to start? So this is our Telegram feed. I'm actually going to jump over to, because I think I marked it where I wanted to kind of pick up and get into some of this with y'all. And let's see, what time is it right now? Okay, cool. So I'm going to do this too. Here's the channel. I'm starting here. Good old Robinhood, which we haven't touched base on yet, which is that there's been a powerful revolution and takedown of Wall Street, which was definitely one of the next targets, even marked by different comms to Q drops. And the world is becoming educated on what's called shorting stocks. Now, I'm going to just hit this real quick. Okay, everybody, I'm going to click to unmute myself. There we go. I'm talking now. Perfect. So I'm in the chat room. If anyone wants to cruise in, I'm in here, and just mute yourself when you're in and write in the chat room if you want to speak or ask a question or anything, and I'll keep checking on it as we go through stuff. All right. So let's take a look here. Boom, going back over to here. I'm going to actually play one of the better breakdowns. Let me do this real quick. See if I can minimize this window. It doesn't appear so. So I'm just going to put it down there. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna play this one. This guy explains it really well. It's pretty short.
That right there is our current market. Everything is red. All of it, except a few medical stocks. And it's all because of this.
GameStop.
And those boys are scared of those boys. So tomorrow in the news, you're gonna see this and hear that it's from Reddit. But in reality, it's all them big boys that are scared of Reddit shorting the fuck out of big stocks so they can cover their shit in GME.
So, and that's kind of become the reaction is now they're trying to do that to all the other stocks because they're freaking out. And why are they freaking out? Because the people learned what they were actually doing. And what they were doing was squeezing a stock so that they could drop the value, buy all of it up, and make a ton of money. And so a bunch of people, just this is my short description, got together and they communicated with each other to do the same thing to them. Poetically brilliant. And there's the hypocrisy, the absurdity of watching these tantrums of some of these individuals who are complaining that this wasn't fair when literally this is what they do to humanity, and it's all good. But they didn't like it so much when it was done to them. I'm actually looking for the next clip, a really good clip with what's his name from the Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, I think it is. I really wanted to play this one for you guys because the way that he calls this, douchey statesman out for his little tantrum about it and reflects that there is no security in stocks and trading. That's the whole point of it all. There's no rational security to any of that. And it was absurd for this guy to be trying to claim that and claiming how unfair this was. Let's see, where is it? I'm almost to it right now. And again, for people radio, we'll be able to play the audio. It's going to be more than fulfilling for sure. Although, again, like I said, I recommend checking out all of the media content, so you can really see a lot of this for yourselves. Let's see, where are we? Looking for it here. Oh my gosh, just so much. There's just so much that has that's coming up every day, and I'm kind of, I guess you could say, spazzy about collecting the data because a lot of it, I'm following a trail. I'm intuitively guided to follow a trail, and then it leads me over here, and then I pop between Intel networks, connecting pieces, ultimately for you guys. Let's see, that's not it. And that's the only thing is, as I go back through it, if I'm hopping between clips, there's so much data. It just takes a lot to kind of scroll through and find it. I'm actually surprised that I've posted this much stuff. And since I did that clip, because I swear it was literally maybe day before yesterday. But that's it. Is I have a deeper calling to go through all this that I'm guided to. Again, I'm intuitively guided as you are. If I pay attention to it, if I tune in, if I listen, and let's see if this one's it right here. No, that's not it. All right. Well, basically, Kevin O'Leary just handed this guy's butt to them. And what I like also is the civil researcher. That's what I'm kind of referring, by the way, to many of us as civil investigators, civil researchers, civil journalists. I feel myself very much like an actual editor. I'm editing a news channel. By the way, let's just take a look at some of these as they load. You're just seeing them all just going down, fluctuating. This is welcome to the takedown of Wall Street. And why wouldn't we take down Wall Street? Our Social Security are the stocks being traded on it. This is part of the takedown, and this whole NISARA process is literally to dismantle the system that's holding the money that's been accruing under our Social Security and being traded unbeknownst to us. So this is a necessary step, and it's brilliant how it's actually happening. It's beautiful, it's poetic, and I guess that's also why I wanted to play the Kevin O'Leary clip, because here's a guy who's would be considered of the wealthy elite, and he's saying, no, it's hypocritical. Let him do this. We do it all the time. There's no guarantee for stocks. What are you, crazy? I mean, it's one thing if you're angry that you didn't, you lost some money. It's another thing if you're trying to spin somehow justifying when you do this, but for other people to do it, it's insane. Here we go. Let's take a look at this real quick as I'm looking. This is White House. This was the 10th night of the White House being dark. Oh, apparently it's not opening. Not really sure. I'm pushing this computer right now, so let's see. Maybe if I move forward. I'm still looking for that clip. I didn't want to linger on this so much, but it's relevant, and I feel like it's one of the best breakdowns that I've seen somebody do. In fact, actually, I know why. I think I know why. So let's do this. I'm going to stop sharing and come out here. Thank you for your patience. Promise it will be worth it. Let's see. All right, I'm going to do this. Let's see, where am I? I am going just straight to YouTube because I know where it. I know where it was in my play history. Some of the posts, and you'll notice this on Telegram. Some of the posts, they're just links. Some of them open right away, which is great. Some of them, they transition you to YouTube, and I think that's why I couldn't pull the media up on that one specifically. And it took me to YouTube, but I usually, I used to just reference my history, my library, to go back and share links and things like that. And so I am just trying to do that right now. Apparently taking, there we go. Apologies, guys. Let's see, here we go. Appreciate your patience. Let's look through the history. See all, there we go. All right. Can see some of my viewing history. All right, where are we? It really was, yeah. I love the way that this brother put it into perspective, and he kind of commented along with Kevin O'Leary on it. All right, it's taking so long. I think I'm potentially going to abandon this. The searching for, let's see, and I will, if I find it, I will put it in the links. I guess we'll just do it that way. Still looking. Let's see if we can find it. It was just, again, just cleanly broken down. And, I've done an okay job on it. Again, all of us are learning. All of us are getting educated on how everything works. And we're taking a look at how undereducated we have been on so many things that we didn't know. The election system, federal system. Here we go. I'm screen sharing. Good. We're back here. Okay, cool. So moving forward, outside of the brilliantly inspiring David and Goliath, if you will, of this, awesome display of the people giving a dose of pungent medicine to those that have been, taking advantage of, and really through just the ignorance, of all of us, which we've been progressively put in the state of. And I have to tell you, I bring the awareness to that about our body, our health and wellness. I've said several times over that the pandemic, if you will, would not have even had the effect that it did if we were more educated on our bodies, on our health, on our wellness. Now, I'm gonna hop on this one because I have vetted this and it's crazy. This is kind of one of the disclosures of Jill Biden, not Joe, that came out. And this is a picture of both of them. That's Jill, okay? That's Joe. When his wife, Nelia, found out about his affair with teenage babysitter Jill, who was the babysitter for their family, for the wife and for the kids, when she found out, she fled. She took the 3 kids. Jill or both of them followed her. So Joe and Jill followed her and bumped her car from behind, pushing the car into oncoming truck. The accident killed Nelia and the daughter. Bo and Hunter survived. The Delaware police have been covering this up for years. Joe labeled the truck driver. He libeled the truck driver, claiming he was drunk. But literally, guys, look at this story. It's just one of those crazy plots from some disturbing after-school drama of some, about just sickos, or one of those drama series on one of the brainwashing networks. Like this. This is all of this is something that is in somebody's life for a long time. They're not just a certain way. The sniff master was sniffing and was like this towards younger children and young women. Look at this. This is his current wife. Currently, this is how they're together. And you better believe that Hunter and the other brother, like, they were then raised, with the moms passing away, then somehow he implemented Jill in there. Like, they have awareness of a lot of this. That, imagine having to process and sit with this truth and then being hidden for a long time. It's all coming out. It's all coming out. And again, I try to be mindful in the parts that I share that have been vetted, especially if they go into extreme places that can be challenging for many to digest. Again, I'm not really sure how at this point, with the level of information coming out, if you're still struggling between the red pill, blue pill dynamic, you're just still intoxicated with the psychopathy that they've put into place. Let me see. Looking for. Okay, that wasn't the one. So there's been a lot of drops in that regard. You know, this was a big one that's been really followed because it's part of something bigger. It's part of this NASARA rollout that you're going to see. So imperative. Now, there's all kinds of stuff on here that I've been posting through the week. This one.
Keep your sanity.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just saw this.
This is a beautiful interview where they actually go into a breakdown of Q with a couple of Anons. Very legit. I definitely recommend checking that one out. I'm not going to play the full thing of it, but I am going to keep kind of cruising. My goal is to just kind of go through some of this stuff that I, you know, post, but I really want you guys to check out. Obviously, this one.
They have no idea who this guy is. What do you think, Christian? You don't get to 50 million friends without making a few enemies. We just got to get this thing out there. How much of this do you have? We got hours. Hours? What do you guys think?
And that was the Facebook breakdown where they just speak of just with the most tyrannical control of how to censor and what to do, what to control. And then we post other things. This one, I really wanted to share this one with you guys. Very important, even just a snippet.
As to why you are not a person. To understand how it all works, you first need to understand how contracts work. So a living man or a living woman can contract with another living man or a living woman. A corporation can contract with another corporation. A corporation cannot contract with a living man or a living woman, or vice versa. The government, which is formed of the Crown, the UK, the City of London, the police, social services, they're all profit-making corporations. So how is this corporation telling living men and women what to do? The way they do it is they set up what's called a legal fiction. So when you were born, unbeknownst to your parents, they registered your birth. So Joanne of the family blocks, who is the living woman or living baby at that time, became Miss Joanne Bloggs, surname in capitals, a corporation. That is a person. In 1862, the definition of person was changed to mean corporation. It's part of the legalese trickery. So now
this was before they literally 1871, before they actually orchestrated the next layer of enslavement, so to speak, with the entire United States as a corporation. And it all was by design.
the government, the corporation, can now contract with the legal fiction corporation of Joanne Bloggs, in capitals, the person. If you look at letters, fines, etc. that come through the post, you'll see there'll be different variants, but some or all of your name will be in capitals. Those are the various corporations that are set up in your name in order for the government to contract with you. So in order to contract with you, they impose rules, licenses, fines, bills, taxes, regulations. They are all contracts between the corporation of the government and the corporation of your legal fiction.
Which is, again, you are the living person. No contract is bound to you. But if you comply and you sign on to this contract, then you agree to the contract itself. And again, another example of this would be if you say, when it's done in the legalese of speech as well. if you agree by saying, do you understand, when the police officer asks you, then I understand what you're saying, then you are officially engaging into that contract with them. And that's why the four most powerful words to say to any type of police officer is, I don't answer questions. No, don't answer questions. Don't answer questions. In fact, you should see what happens when you do it. In fact, look up what happens. There's videos on it. You'll see like at least 10 to 20 pieces of footage where you'll see officers come up. What are you doing here? And then I don't answer questions. Okay, have a nice day. It's like they almost know the phrase because they know the legalese. They know it. Now I'm going to play this next piece because it's bringing us a little bit back to center. Okay, we've gone through some kind of weird stuff, and obviously I wasted a little time trying to find this amazing breakdown of the Robinhood scandal, if you will, the Robinhood situation.
Actually got the population believing that the entire earth comes from nothing. Obviously, we're living in an intelligently designed place here. Consciousness had to pre-exist the physical universe for the beautiful, complex, diverse physical universe to even come into existence at all. The beauty of nature, the complexity, the way that just happened as a random explosion. And
the golden mean, the Fibonacci sequence everywhere.
Absolutely. Not only is design intelligent, it's so intelligent that our human mind can't possibly comprehend it. Instead of the new science religion lets you think that you're the pinnacle of evolution, you're a god, and that God doesn't need to exist whatsoever. That's the metaphysical angle that this whole conspiracy is attacking us at, making us think we're not special. And when somebody presents you with the idea that, hey, you're actually the center point of the universe, everything revolves around you, the earth and us humans, the most intelligent of the intelligent designers' designs, we are.
And that's it. And we are that truth. We are the most intelligent of the intelligent designs. And part of the indoctrination, besides telling you that a car is a car and a cat is a cat and eat your food with a fork, all of that is based around you being controlled to perceive your reality the way they want you to. And you could say, oh, but it is a fork and it makes sense to eat this with my food. So what else are they going to like control me? Like, hello, like I'm going to eat with something. What, am I eat with my hands? Yes, you might eat with your hands. And why would you eat with your hands? Because eating with your hands produces more enzymes. And when it produces more enzymes, it actually helps you to not only identify your food, but help breaks the food down. And look into it. Look into something that's not part of the indoctrination. So my point is, deeper metaphysical indoctrinations can sometimes be the greatest handicaps for us, if you will. Now, there's some brilliant stuff that goes into Antarctica here, deep explorations. Definitely recommend checking that out. In fact, this is reminding me of bringing it back to Phil Schneider. And just for those of you that are shrugging off the frazzle drip, this thing, the Hillary Clinton thing, here's actual footage of them identifying it right here.
Welcome and thank you for your testimony today. Do you know what frazzle drip is? I'm not aware of the specifics about it. I heard some references about it from.
That's the head of Google.
Over the past 24 hours.
Right?
I just learned about it in the Washington Post this morning. There's an article with this headline: "A platform for free speech that extremists routinely exploit." And in it, the article explains that the recommendation engine for YouTube, which is owned by Google, correct? Yes. The recommendation engine for YouTube recently suggested videos claiming that politicians, celebrities, and other elite figures were sexually abusing or consuming the remains of children, often in satanic rituals, according to watchdog group Algo Transparency.
So again, he was in court having to speak and answer about these things. I just wanted to give, again, context. It's easy to disregard things. And here's another one. This took a lot for me to actually find, and I put it into an image right here, but this is the actual footage of them receiving these letters. I don't know, for those of you that haven't heard, so
President.
So this, he actually explains it pretty good. But what it is that at George Bush Sr.'s funeral, post his execution, there was a letter given to all those involved in all of this. And, you know, many have speculated what's on the letter. I actually, through some of my intel, got an image of what was on there, and then I coupled it with some of the other images, which I'll follow the video from. It's only a minute, so check it out.
Donald J. Trump.
Oh, sorry about that.
President Donald J. Trump, seated with the aging globalist cabal of past presidents and politicians. It was awkward. But there was something else odd going on. It was noticed that several of the globalist political players received an unexpected letter inside of their program. Hillary Clinton was the only one who kept her poker face when looking at the mysterious letter. Former Vice President Joe Biden appeared to be distressed when his wife found his. Laura Bush had a look of anger and could barely keep from staring at hers. And when she showed it to Jeb Bush, as his deceased father was being carried in front of him, he was distressed enough to take his hand from his heart, and he looked rather troubled by what he saw. The internet is abuzz with what these mystery letters are all about. Many who hope to see justice served in our corrupt American system speculate that this could be a foreboding message to America's traitorous first families. One can only hope. Whatever they were, they certainly appear to be disturbing to those who received them.
So let's take a look. Let's take a look at what that was. Here you go. I'll zoom in to right here. That's what was on the letter. They know everything. Period. I'm sorry. Signed by George Bush Sr. Again, images. Take a look at the expressions on their faces. One of the things I got fascinated with as a neuromuscular therapist, especially working with people with Bell's palsy and where the face gets compromised from strokes and things and the muscles, was learning micro expressions and expressions. And those expressions are the looks of fear and shock. And what was that all about? Well, I guess we will find out soon enough. I'm going to just touch base on, I'll just refer to him as my homie. This man inspired many of us. Inspired many of us. So I'm just going to play a little bit of his talk. Let's see, this is part 2. I think this is part 1. So I'll start with, we'll just do a little excerpt, part 1.
With a feudal type system. Feudal systems haven't been used in the last 350 years, and they're coming back like gangbusters. If we are complacent, if we do not speak out in droves, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about a bunch of us getting together and getting on this stump and loving our country more than we love our lives, getting on, some of us are going to get killed. I almost got killed a couple of weeks ago. Hadn't been for an FBI, a retired FBI man who risked his life, his career, everything, put it all on the line, and he didn't know me from Adam. A week prior to that, he listened to really get the message out, and I think we're doing it, but it's a little bit slow in the first part. That's just that part of what I want to say. In working with the Black projects, I was very loyal. And I was picked because I was very strong mentally. There's a bunch of us that were picked because we don't crack under pressure. We don't freak under pressure, so to speak. Everyday events don't bother us. Now, I was involved in something very controversial, almost totally unbelievable to most of you. Some of you are religious people. I think all religions have a time and a place, and they definitely have a place in America. Now, another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down, we wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes.
Look at his hand.
The large alien grays had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. It had been one of their internal bases. And we drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up. And well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really. All started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build an underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the Folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This is in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me.
For those that can't see,
it was some form of electrical.
I've seen him in several interviews,
like being hit by lightning.
And I've never seen, and I've worked with a lot of people who have accidents from appendages, helping dig out and rehabilitate stumps and stumpy fingers that have been ripped off. And I've never seen anything like the way that this man's fingers is like melted away. It's like a cylindrical shape through 3 of the fingers.
My left foot burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me that risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the bass and hit the button and took me up. I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. It's been going on since that time. Since late August of 1979, our military, the Russian military, basically the militaries of the world, have been in constant conflict with the outer space alien. The small gray, the large gray, the reptilians, the whole thing. There are 11 distinct races of aliens. 2 are benevolent. 1 had to leave here in a hurry because their world is under attack, both on the surface as well as underground. There, the Pleiadians. They're familiar. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. Would some of you raise your hands who've heard of Billy Meyer and
Okay, well, welcome to the Galactic Perspective. I've talked about in the past, there are 3 perspectives, realities: celestial, which is gods, angels, demons; intergalactic or galactic, which is races, many of them humanoid like us, that have developed and evolved to go off planet and learned, developed technological interfaces to travel between worlds, star systems, etc. And then you have the planetary perspective, where most of us are controlled, and our points of observation, our perception of reality is controlled. So I really wanted to play that clip. We're down to the last few minutes of our blessed show that I'm super grateful for. Of course, I didn't feel like I got through a good majority of what I would have really wanted to. Because what can I say? Time. It's the one thing that we can't control and will always continue on. And so on that, I just wanted to potentially go into a breath technique for those of you to open the lungs to activate the immune system. Now, again, I could show you more. Could show you more protests around the world, the things that are going on. Oh, yes, Russia, looking fun. But I would rather take this time to give you something tangible, if you will, tangible to be able to utilize. And I do want to continue on exploring, and I hope you will too, down to all of this. Look at the symbology here of understanding the sacred geometry, how they encode this, the Saturnalian Brotherhood, how they encode these symbols into everything. Their spell casting. You know, back in the day, if there was something that happened that was traumatic for the land, if you will, there would be the people would look at it as if there was a curse on the land, and they would have to do something to make amends for that curse, because it would affect everything, would affect the psychopathy of the people, you name it. We have had spells cast on us. What's up, Joe? Thanks for listening in the chat room. Appreciate you. We have had spells cast upon us, and those. What's that? You there?
Yeah. What's up, man?
Blessings, brother. Blessings. Thanks for hopping in.
The chat. Been listening to you for a little bit, in the Telegram all the time, trying to catch up with all the stuff that you put out. And I just sometimes can't. Like, I'm backed up.
I know.
There's so much stuff.
Oh my God, I know.
I try to look into it. That's one thing I wanted to kind of jump on in here and say, is that there is a lot of good stuff here. I'm trying to document some of it. I'm trying to just live my life too, while also integrating some of this amazing stuff that you got here and that you're posting. And some of it I just skim through, some of it I look into, some of it I just have to like put to the side on other panels to eventually look at. But I love what you're doing. Looking forward to this breath technique too, because I like the Kundalini stuff you're talking about, yoga, all into all that stuff.
Oh, bro, blessings. And truly, I really appreciate you actually coming on and expressing that, and also pacing yourself. There's so much, you know, and half the reason I end up putting so much in is I'm like, I'm going to forget to go back to this other channel and I'm going to lose this link. I'm going to lose this piece. I got to just Tourette syndrome, like just spit it into there. And so I'm trying to pin the ones that are the most relevant. So again, just check the pinned ones. You're reinforcing me to really try to, because there's so much there, pin certain ones that are the most relevant and have links to go into deeper holes. And from there, you know, once you clear the pinned ones, you can kind of explore a little bit more. But all right, I'm going to get into it, Joe. I'm going to get into the breath technique. I'm going to switch over and go full screen here, and you be listening on. And yeah, so much appreciation for you, brother. Truly. Thanks for being a part of this. It makes it worth me doing this. And I'm kind of in just crazy answering the call mode. Like I feel like my body, my psyche is not going to stop sharing information through the transition of what's coming and this great awakening and disclosure. And then long after, I can feel just even counseling and helping people to gain perspective, which is what we're doing here. I'm one point of perspective that's collecting a lot of data to be looked at, and there's several of them out there. And I appreciate each one of you. Appreciate you, Joe, for choosing this point of perspective. And I'm trying to make it as vast as possible, so it almost feels like it's not one point. I'm trying to look at it as it's like 20 different channels. I'm trying to combine perspective and information and intel into. So I appreciate you so much, brother. All right, here we go. I'm going to switch over now, stop and share. I'm going to go to just video screen right now. All right, so you guys can see me. And I'll talk a little louder, but I'm going to move the camera so I can kind of back up some and get a little space, because I got to move to show you this. I gotta get a little space going here to actually show you the technique, because I want you to see at least part of my full body as I do it. So let me move my chair, slide it over, and give you a look into our treatment facility. It's a treatment table there. All right, so we've gone through Breath of Fire before, and Breath of Fire, let me just tighten our screen up. There we go. All right. So Breath of Fire is a forced inhale, exhale through the nose. You guys should still be able to hear me on the voice chat. I'll try to get the mic closer. And so that forced inhale, exhale through the nose, I always would describe to students, it's like sneezing. If you think about when you sneeze. So to get it really forceful, because when I teach people this at first, most people try to breathe softer and deeper. No, you don't want to do that. You want to get the nasal passage strengthened. You want to condition the muscles in the nose, and you want to really get that forceful engagement and strengthen the muscles in the nasal cavity. Okay, so there's a few different styles of breath of fire. We're just going to go through them real quick at the end of the show. First one is a forced exhale with a relaxed inhale, kind of like sneezing. Now I'm going to over accentuate the nose. Okay. Now the natural inhale, you don't even have to think about, because anything you contract will naturally expand. So think about a series of expulsions. Okay. So the second one is a forced inhale exhale that's even. So when I break it into music, because I am a DJ, break beats, linear beats, bum, 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 bum. So 2 styles of breath. We got that broken breath, the forced exhale with relaxed inhale. And then we got that kind of linear beat breath, which can be elongated or short and shallow, really controlled inhales and exhales, or somewhere in between. Okay. So I want you to think with the forced exhale, it's kind of like sneezing. Now, if you look through every culture, sneezing is a form of expelling negativity or expelling demons. That's why they say Gesundheit, God bless you. These are all translations that mean bless you, because in many cultures it was seen as a form of negativity being expelled. So isn't it interesting that in this forced exhale, relaxed inhale, it's a form of pranayama, padabhati, that we are doing a forced exhale. We're almost recreating a sneeze, okay? Now, I'm gonna bring in the third form of this Kundalini breathwork, which is syncing it with a physical movement. Now, the first one, I'm gonna hold my hands, fingers tight together, like I'm doing a karate chop. And I'm holding my hands out in front of me with my arms straight, and my hands are roughly about 6 inches apart in front of me. And I'm going to inhale, bringing the arms back, swinging back, make sure I don't hit anything, swinging back, exhaling forward, but maintaining that 6 inches of distance. See if I can set this camera up just a little farther back to capture the full length, if you will. Okay, here, I'll turn it a little bit more that way. There we go. Okay. So starting from here, we're going to inhale back. So it's almost like you're kind of flying. You're bringing the arms, keeping them parallel to the ground, elbows straight, bringing them as back as they'll open, like you're trying to take a big hug of a giant tree, and then exhaling, bringing them together, but keeping them 6 inches apart, okay? So as we're doing this, we're bringing energy, as we're using our chi, our breath, from behind the field or out, and concentrating it in front of us, okay? So we would do this for 1 minute. I'm going to show you just for a few seconds. So 1 minute, 3 minutes, start with 1 minute. As we finish, we're going to exhale all the way out, staying breathless, and stay breathless for, try 15 seconds, 30 seconds. This breathless state is actually the yin state. It's the void. It's the feminine. Because we've been doing this fire breath as the masculine. Now from that breathless state, we're going to hook the thumbs together. And we're going to take a deep breath. Extending the arms all the way up. And you'll notice you can pull from where the thumbs hook together. You can pull and it kind of locks the arms straight up, straightening the elbows. And we're going to hold and squeeze that breath. And we're going to try to, when we take that deep breath, we're going to take the deep breath in through the nose deep as we can, and we're going to pull like we're holding from going to the bathroom, which is the Kegel muscles or the pelvic floor muscles. We're going to inhale and we're going to pull from what's called the root or the mul bandha. When we take that breath up, taking it up the abdomen, up into the chest. We're going to tuck the chin. We're going to press the tongue to the roof of the mouth. We're going to roll the eyes to the third eye, and we're going to hold and squeeze. And I want you to visualize a column of light going up, coming out the top of your head or your energy field, and then coming back down in through the root, making what's called a toroidal field, okay? If you don't do this toroidal field, if you don't do this visualization, which is directing the psychic energy, this is the big missing piece for all Kundalini practitioners if you're watching this. These are some of the things that were altered in these spiritual sciences when brought to the West. They didn't teach the visualization, which directs the energy. If you don't do this, then you're just going to do these Kundalini techniques. You'll build the energy to the crown, and it won't encapsulate in the field because we don't understand how psychic ability works. You have to direct the energy from the mind's eye. What's the mind's eye visualization? What's the core visualization? Imagination. So our imaginations have been squashed, right? They've been stifled. They've been retarded because we've been indoctrinated into the left brain. So we're not in the right. And the right hemisphere is what we're going to tap into more for visualization, imagination. This is where all the primary neuroreceptors are. So we're going to take that deep breath, extending up. That's the physical stuff. We do those series of locks from the root, stomach, the chest being open, tucking the chin, tongue pressed to the roof of the mouth, eyes rolled to the third eye, like a series of locks in a door in New York City. We're holding all those and we're squeezing, extending. And then as we exhale, after we've held as long as we could, we're going to open the palms, And see, you can't see higher up. There we go, go a little higher. Open the palms, and then we're going to fan the arms out, encasing that energy in your field. When you do it right, you'll feel this electromagnetic ripple come down from the brachial plexus nerve and ripple out the arms, okay? That's the first one. Second one I'm going to show you, you're going to take the left hand straight in front of you, similar to that last technique. And we're going to take the right hand, we're going to go under and in front of the thumb. Now watch as I go in front of the thumb. Now I'm going to let the wrist relax and it's going to lock them into place. See how that locks them right into place like this? Now this one's interesting, and I was talking again about the sneezing and recreating a sneeze to expel basically a manufactured expulsion of negativity, if you will, or negative energy. So this one, we're going to keep the chest up, arms will end up kind of bouncing on the chest, and we're going to go 30 to 60 degrees, okay? So up and down. So we're 30 to 60 degrees. We're not going higher, about 30 to 60, and you want to maintain that parallel line with the arms here, okay? So with this one, inhaling up, exhaling down. Okay, and what are we doing? We're creating like a pump, really. Think about it. This is like a pump. We're pumping the arms in front of the body. We're activating all the nerve endings. We're conjuring a lot of electromagnetic energy through the breath and through the movement in front of the auric field, which is right where the psyche is, okay? And we're pumping, basically pumping negativity out of our field. We do this for a minute, and then we exhale, coming back down, keeping the arms straight, parallel to the ground, where we started in our starting position, breathless for a few seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Tune in to how addicted, how dependent on oxygen you are. This is a good conditioning process. Also, this kicks in what's called hypoxia, which is going to direct all the oxygenated blood from the breath technique you just did for a minute into the areas of damage in your body that needs it the most. It's a little trick to the system. The body thinks, I don't have any air, I'm dying. All right, well, if I'm dying, I need to direct that oxygenated blood to areas that are damaged. And this is a similar principle in Wim Hof breathing techniques, except for this is yogic techniques, which are more advanced and older. And they're less general. General techniques are great for the masses. We can start diving into some more detailed stuff. So from here, inhaling, exhaling, 30 to 60 degrees. After a minute, exhaling, all the way breathless. And then deep breath, we're going to bring the arms all the way up and over. Extending up like last time, but this time we're holding that wrist lock where the wrists are hooked together as we did in the beginning, and we're going to just pull up, and you'll notice it just extends the spine and the arms, holding and squeezing. Same visualization, column of light from earth to sky. You can see energies moving up. It's that electric charge of that Kundalini. Your visualization is directing the energy. You're all the way up, holding, squeezing, and then when you're ready, you're going to exhale, and then again, open the arms, fanning out around the field. It's encasing the energy around the field. You can also do this breath technique just sitting in your chair like this, doing a radio show. You can literally go into, for 1 minute, blow all the air out. Always want to create that breathless state, and then deep breath. Then as you take that deep breath, I like to grab the knees just to pull the chest fully open, holding, squeezing that series of locks. Those series of locks, those are the bandhas, or energy centers. We're bringing the flexions, directing the electromagnetic energy up the body, and then directing it to encase in the field. This is a physiological, anatomical, bioelectrical, electromagnetic process that the body has been scientifically monitored to do. It is not magic, it's not evil, it's part of your technology awakening. Because what happens when you do these is not only is your field supercharged, not only is your lungs exercised and conditioned, your nervous system is activated, and down to the DNA, it's been scientifically proven the body turns on down to the mitochondria in the cells, and the system goes into an optimal homeopathic diagnostic level to activate itself, to ground. It also, by the way, after you do these, you know, we've taught this technique on the show a lot, the Ujjayi breathing, which is through the nose, through the throat. That is going to be the cooling, more feminine breath. This fiery breath is to burn and clear things out. Now, the baptisms, there are 2 of them in preparation for awakening our consciousness. The baptism of water is in the body. The baptism of fire is in the mind. How do we cleanse the mind? We clear it through breath, through this breathing techniques. These are transformational techniques to clear the mind. And here's what happens. Once you do these techniques and then you go into the Ujjayi, which is through the nose, through the throat, it's kind of a cooling, hissing sound. That cooling, hissing sound is going to regulate the heart rate, and it puts you right into that parasympathetic nervous system. Even doing a couple of these techniques, right into the parasympathetic, the body relaxes, it starts regulating. It's a great way to calm yourself at the end of an evening. If you're deep diving through information, grounding yourself before you fall asleep, it'll help you go into theta. It helps the body to be less restless, helps you to wake up more rejuvenated. So that's our little neuromuscular therapy healing technique, if you will. That's the Kundalini yogic science, spiritual science side, if you will, of what we wanted to share and bring some awareness to. I hope you utilize that. And again, check out on Matrix Body Mechanics TV, which is obviously the YouTube platform that we're in. Check it out. Explore the aspects of there's a lot more videos where we go really in detail to breathwork, specifically how to do. There's a 20-minute video. It's really good. A lot of patients of mine and even viewers and people in our tribe, they've really expressed how much it's been amazing because it's an immune boosting one. So it's pretty chill. It's literally, you know, a 20-minute video that shows you how to do a few different techniques other than the ones I showed you, that would create a nice little set for everybody to really boost the immune system and come to a grounded space. And again, you know, several yogis and teachers really talked about that, you know, it's the yogic sciences, the spiritual sciences that have come through humanity were designed for great times of change, for changes of ages, for the changes of an age. And we are moving into the Aquarian age from the Piscean age. We are moving into the Bronze Age from the Iron Age, the Satyuga from the Kali Yuga. And this is a time of disclosure and awakening and evolution and advancement, progression, renaissance, and it's coming. We're just still in the birthing stages of this process, and that also means the demolition of the corrupt old system that existed from the previous age that we have all been deeply enslaved and indoctrinated to. So each one of you is super important. Each one of you holds key pieces and roles to play in the awakening of humanity. I want you to think about a virus. How does a virus spread? It spreads through the individual expansion of the virus replicating and affecting other cells and damaging other cells. Well, equally, each one of you awakening to truth has the ability to reach and affect other people, even if it's little bits at a time. To attract in people that are more receptive, to introduce concepts to individuals that are more receptive in planting seeds. And even if they think you're crazy, as things start to be more revealed, they will have a reference point to go, what? This person told me about that and I disregarded them, but at least they have a context and they're not getting shocked 100% with just a lot of raw, intensive, revealed truth, which is coming at some point. There will come a time where you can't just stay on social platforms and avoid the other networks where they're sharing information. They are going to put it everywhere for it to be looked at, because it will be time. And each one of us plays a role in preparing humanity for that. So on that, I'm just going to play this last little clip right here of the G. And I'll take us out on that, I guess.
All the way back
And don't worry, we will not take the name off the Washington Monument. We will not. Cancel culture. You know, they wanted to get rid of the Jefferson Memorial. Either take it down or just put somebody else in there. I don't think that's going to happen. It damn well better not. Although with this administration, if this happens, it could happen. You'll see some really bad things happen. Although with this administration, if this happens, it could happen. You'll see some really bad things happen. This thing goes on so long, they still don't have any idea what the votes are. We still have congressional seats under review. They have no idea. They've totally lost control. They've used the pandemic as a way of defrauding the people in a proper election. But you know, when you see this and when you see what's happening, number one, they all say, sir, we'll never let it happen again. I said, that's good, but what about 8 weeks ago? You know, they try and get you to go. They say, sir, in 4 years, you're guaranteed. I said, I'm not interested right now. Do me a favor, go back 8 weeks. I want to go back 8 weeks. Let's go back 8 weeks. We want to go back and we want to get this right because we're going to have somebody in there that should not be in there because we're going to have somebody in there that should not be in there and our country will be destroyed and we're not going to stand for that.
Mr. President, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I haven't finished yet.
Good, good.
Exactly.
That's it. So on that note, that's our broadcast. What can I say? It's truly an honor to be with each and every one of you each week. It is a time where I don't get to be in the clinic and seeing patients as much. And in that, what can I say? It's hard. It's hard to not be living path and purpose that each one of us was supposed to have. Each one of us, that path and purpose. And you guys give so much purpose to me. I just want to express that. I have 4 kids and it is full directional towards path and purpose for family and for these magical beings and being their stewards. And at the same time, it is truly an honor to play a role in the macro in a bigger way, the best that I can. And if I could, and I had more time, I would be doing more shows and doing some amazing edited films to bring a lot more awareness to half the information I funnel into this page. So until I can do that more, for now, this is the offering that I can share. Again, like I said, there are so many points of observational perspective to gain more knowledge and knowing through engagement. And I'm honored for you to choose this one. And because I'm looking at so many, that's part of the focus with this channel is to collect as many as I can into one channel. So you don't have to do what I do, which is hop all over to all these different networks. And they go so in depth into different pieces or ones, whether it's the human trafficking or the adrenochrome or the child trafficking or the Hunter Biden laptops. I leave you the links to go deeper if you want and give you enough pieces to do digging or just to gain perspective as we look at it all in the collective. So on that note, that's the show for this week. Appreciate my producers because I went a little bit over and I know it's like 2 a.m. for one of my producers in Scotland. So he's a true trooper. Guys, so much love and respect, and same V, just truly appreciate you guys motivating and supporting me each week. And People for People Radio, which I will put the links in the video for as well. And you can go on People for People I believe .org, but I will put the links for you, and then you become a member. It's free. It's just a closed circuit with all these different aspects of content. None of your information, your email address is used for anything outside of that except for to give you access to all of the different programs. And there's several, including Dr. Rima Lebeau, who I probably will have back on the show again, just to do a little vaccination agenda 21, agenda 30 update. But she has a show weekly, always covering so much good stuff. There's so many awesome shows. And it is, again, a service for all of us. We're not monetized. We don't make anything off of this. This is literally people for people, sharing truth, sharing the message. So on that note, I appreciate each and every one of you. Stay strong, stay centered, stay grounded, and at the same time, be open and receptive and explorative. Use your logical thinking as well as your intuition and that guttural intelligence to expand your image, your picture of the truth that is being revealed, because each one of you, like I said, plays a role to support others who haven't even begun the process. And because you're here and you're even listening to this right now, you obviously have. And so that means each and every one of us plays an important role in that. I recommend definitely checking out the full Phil Schneider interview. Like I said, I've vetted this man a long time ago. Many of us did. He became a staple of one of the first people coming. He was the only person coming to speak out about what's been going on behind the scenes. And I can tell you folks, the sci-fi movies that have been made pale in comparison. So on that note, I look forward to exploring into a progressively more galactic reality with you all. And if you need some help with that too, go check out the whitehouse.gov and check out the Space Force memorandum. That in itself, we also posted a video where an intelligence military, anonymous source takes you through kind of as a guide to look at some of the aspects with it, with Jesse Perez Casanova. Check out his channel, really awesome. Global Earth United. A lot of us out there, like I said, we're all playing our own roles collectively to awaken. And it's an honor to play that role, whatever that role is for me, to play for truth in that regard. Blessings to you all. Satnam, aloha, and we'll see you next week. On the flip side, safe journeys into the unknown. Trust and surrender is the name of the game. Remember, there is a bigger plan. There is a greater plan. And trusting and surrendering into it will bring you the most enjoyment in watching this movie. And it truly is, by all means, by all, even quantum physicists analysis. We're in a simulation. Enjoy the process. And at the same time, bring awareness to your role, your character. Who do you want to be in this new world as it comes through and in the transition that we're in right now? On that note, aloha, satnam.